everybody, and welcome to my page. My name is Mike. I'm a 7-figure Amazon FBA wholesale seller, and I want to thank you guys for clicking on this video. It's just a brief introduction. Now, the video you're about to see, it's not super edited. I just want to come on, talk over a few different points, so I'm going to jump into that now. I hope you guys enjoy. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment box below. Be sure to give my first video a big thumbs up. And I'll also put some links down there if you guys want to check out other resources. I've been doing wholesale for about 4 years now, and overall been in the e-commerce space a little over 7 years. Started as an eBay reseller, moved over, did some private label attempts on Amazon, had a little success. Didn't really lose money, but had some issues with like patents people had on products, got cease and desist letters for somebody that had, patents for the design of the product or what have you. So that was kind of how I transitioned into Amazon FBA wholesale. So this is going to be a shorter video, but there's 3 main things I want to talk about in this video. The first thing is, how much capital do we really need to start really diving into the wholesale model? Should you keep doing OA? Should you keep doing RA? So we'll get into that. The second thing is, when we're contacting a supplier, do we tell them we are an Amazon seller? How transparent should we be? Should we just try to get the account and then maybe have the conversation later? And the third thing is, I want to give you guys a tip to actually find one of your first Amazon wholesale accounts, or I should say wholesale accounts in general. Touching on the first subject there is, how much capital do we actually need to really start diving deep into the wholesale business model? And the honest truth is, I personally started with about $4,000. That was plenty to put a few hundred into proper software: Keepa, Jungle Scout, Analyzer.tools, RevSeller. You're going to find those tools very useful in the wholesale business. And the remaining was enough to buy my first few products. It does take time to land your first accounts. It's a lot of trial and error, practicing your speech, practicing just getting on the phone and calling people. And I'll have a whole nother video about how to actually approach a supplier. But right around the $3,000 to $5,000 range. If you're more capital heavy, let's say you are like, hey Mike, I actually have $30,000, $50,000 from this other business and we want to start this whole Amazon wholesale thing, I would actually recommend, it's good to have access to capital, but treat that as if you have about $5,000 to $8,000. The reason being is because we don't want to get too excited and dive into product too deep. You are going to make mistakes. It's inevitable that you'll learn different buy box trends that are going to come out of nowhere. You're going to see Keepa, there's no way to teach every single aspect of every single product and how it behaves. There's just indicators that we can learn and kind of foresee happening, increase in sellers on a listing, or price has been plummeting for more than 30 days. There's different indications. So if you're very capital heavy right now, I would highly recommend act like you have $5,000 to $8,000. It's going to be a good bit to work with, and then put the rest on the back burner once you kind of get the momentum and you're confident with your purchases. Jumping into the next topic here is, when we are finding a supplier. Let's say you find a supplier, you hop on the phone, you say, hey, we run a wholesale business primarily selling on Amazon, and they're like, we're not opening up to Amazon sellers. So what I would recommend with this is, if you have some experience and maybe you're jumping in from OA, maybe you've done a lot of like Sam's Club or Costco flips and you're doing $20,000, $30,000 a month and you're looking to jump into wholesale, I would recommend always ask the question, just say, hey, may I ask why? I mean, have you guys had a bad experience in the past, or are you guys expecting me to ask you guys to prep these products and label these pallets and all of these things? Because it's not super common, but I have had one account where we ended up landing the account, and it was just a matter of the gentleman goes, well, we do have some Amazon accounts, but I typically say no because, a lot of people are asking for prep and labeling and all these services. And I'm like, I just want to buy from you guys and send it directly to our warehouse. We'll handle all the freight. And that was one way to kind of bypass that. But really the answer here is volume. Right? There are companies out there that don't mind. Most of the products they carry are perfectly fine to be sold on Amazon. And that's typically what you'll see is, let's say a large beauty supplier that typically sells only to salons and retailers is going to be some of the highest accounts to actually get access to. And what I find frequently, especially with students, is they will find these companies, be super excited and say, I found this killer beauty this killer beauty supplier. But the moment I said Amazon, they shut me down. And really what happens is, depending on what brands the supplier or distributor carries, if their whole line is like top-notch beauty brands or top-notch perfumes, they are more than likely passing down the requirement from the brand. The brand is telling the supplier, we don't want these products on Amazon, or they already have authorized suppliers for that. And a lot of times when so many of the products a supplier carries, or the vast majority, are carrying brands that have passed down that requirement, overall, they're just going to start telling Amazon sellers, hey, most of our brands can't be sold online. We're not really taking Amazon sellers. So the way to land accounts that do is simply volume. And a lot of people will say, yeah, I called 5 suppliers and didn't really land any accounts. I called 25 suppliers and only one said maybe. Guys, I'm not joking when I say this. You need to be calling 15 to 25 suppliers every day for a month. Okay, you're going to say, how do we even find that many companies? It's not too hard. Find the brand, right? Find a brand on Amazon or find a name brand. Contact the company. Hey, like your products, would really like, we're a wholesale company. I would really like to buy in bulk. Can we purchase directly from you, or set up an application or fill out an application to work with you guys? Or could you please provide us a list of some local suppliers we could buy from? That's all you have to ask. Go brand after brand after brand after brand after brand. Now, the way to land these accounts is volume. Everything about wholesale is volume, guys. It is, buying large quantities of product, buying multiple SKUs of product, placing large POs as you continue to scale, hiring a team to help you prep, or outsourcing. Everything is about systems and volume. And when you're establishing those accounts, you can't call 20 accounts and just expect 10 of them to hit. For every 100 accounts, I would expect 2 or 3 to probably line up, quite honestly. So if you guys haven't called a few hundred suppliers and used a brand to backtrack who they sell through and eventually get their supplier, which is also going to have, not to mention, thousands of other products that you can buy and flip on Amazon potentially. If you guys haven't done that, don't give up hope, right? The wholesale business model, for perspective, it took probably 2 years before we really had some pretty good established accounts and actually built relationships to where, asking for 8% off, asking for 10% off wasn't a big deal. Because we had slowly worked up. The more money you make your supplier, the more interested they're going to be to, lower the price for you, right? If they can move 10 pallets or a truckload of something, they're going to have some wiggle room of 3%, 5%, 8%. It really depends on the product, and some products don't have any margin. So this video is a little rambly, but this is my introduction. Once again, my name is Mike, and I will see you guys in the next video.